Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is our Thursdays 13, plus a bonus 10 as well. Here, we're going to give you a list of the 13 sports chants. And this is not really a tier list. You know, number 1 isn't the best, number 13 isn't the worst, or vice versa. It's just a list. And you guys can argue.
Anthems.
Yeah, sports anthems. So some of them are actual pop songs or rock songs. It's not just chants. Sorry, but yeah, you guys
some of
can
them
argue.
Are just music they play. Some of them are just music that they play when the pitcher comes out into the mound or the batter comes up. So it's not necessarily anything. Yeah. Anyway.
But you can, you guys can argue in the comments below which one you think is the worst and the best, or if one should even be on the list. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our news 10 to 15 minutes before we start the show, and we haven't had any caffeine. That's why it's called Before Coffee. It is, however, not before coffee for you, so you can drink all the coffee you want while you sit down and listen to our headlines. Today on Before Coffee, Government of Austria is finally complete, without any radical right-wing FPO.
And sad news from the United States, as we've lost actor Gene Hackman at 96 and his wife and dog also found dead.
1,900 pairs of unreleased Nikes are stolen from freight trains in California and Arizona. Back to the Wild Wild West.
On Thursdays 13, we're going to talk about the top 13, I'm going to call them the top 13 sports crowd anthems.
Dreams, Diamonds, and Dystopias. Euronews Cultures Top 10 Movies from the Berlinale 2025.
And it's National Chili Day, which is the fourth Tuesday in February 27th. So chill out and watch our show. It is February 27th, 2025 on Before Coffee.
Okay, we got Gene Hackman. Remembering Gene Hackman clip, and so get ready for, I guess, watch the show for that. But before we do that, let's go into our news stories here by first rolling our wheel of segues, so we know what creative thing we have to do with no caffeine, barely awake.
Yikes, not that.
Yeah.
Not segue.
Takes me at least 3 hours to wake up myself.
I don't think I ever wake up.
I'm just living in a dream. All right, you need to make me a bad pun.
All right, well, a bad pun. Good.
Okay,
you should have put a good pun on there, huh?
Well, let's look at Austria's government finally being complete after 6 months. This is from NOS News. In Austria, the 3 major centrist parties have formed a coalition without the radical right-wing party, FPO. The OVP, the SPO, and the NEOS have agreed on a coalition agreement. Earlier, negotiations between the Liberal NEOS party, the conservative OVP, and the Social Democratic SPO had stalled. It still needs to be formally ratified, which means that the members of the party still need to approve the plan. At a press conference at the end of the morning, the coalition partners announced more about their program. The message was mainly that the national interest comes first. The name of the 200-page coalition agreement is therefore Doing It the Right Thing Right Now for Austria. So, the what I want to call nation-state resurgence is happening in every country in Europe right now. We're first, all country first. The most difficult government negotiation in the history of our country are probably behind us, said OVP leader Stocker. The parties cite Austria's economic situation, migration, and the war in Ukraine as major challenges, of course. Not that migration, people are moving around the planet. They should stop doing that. Stay where you were born for the rest of your life. They've already announced a few main points. For example, the recession, the budget deficit, and the inflation crisis must be tackled. They also want an immediate stop to family reunification. That sounds terrible. Why would you not want people to be reunified with their family? And of course, they have a headscarf ban for girls under 14 in their plans. Interesting. I don't understand these religious ban stuff. The coalition agreement must be submitted to the party members. If they agree, the new chancellor will probably be presented next week on Monday, which I think is the 3rd of March. So we'll probably have news on that on Mucking Fun Day. Stocker's name is also mentioned most often, so Stocker might become the new chancellor of Austria. We'll stop families from reunificating. I don't know why is that a thing, but we would like people to be separated and miserable. That is in our manifesto. For months, the three tried to form a coalition to keep the FPO out of the government. In early January, the cabinet formation failed and the parties pulled the plug on the negotiations. Subsequently, the attempt by the OVP to form a government with FPO failed. After the talks failed, the Chancellor Nehammer resigned and stepped down as party leader of the OVP. The elections were held at the end of September and won by the FPO. So, yet again, this is like the 15th time it's happened in the last 3 years. Some guy, steps down or doesn't get enough votes in the snap election or something, and then another party takes over because, and I don't know, I feel like he probably also tried to get reelected, like that would have changed anything. I'm not sure. But that does keep happening. People are like, I messed up. Let me try getting votes again. It's not going to work. Elections were held at the end of September and were won by the FPO. It was the first time the Radical Right Party became the largest party in a parliamentary election. Nevertheless, the Conservative OVP was given the task of forming a new government. In doing so, President von der Bellen broke with tradition of asking the leader of the largest party, the FPO in this case, to do so. So, people are really trying to avoid the radical right, even though they're also themselves not exactly making a lot of concessions to push them away. And, or maybe that is what they're doing. This ban on headscarves will make those right-wing voters come back to us. I think at this point, society has just failed. For some reason, the majority of people, or at least the majority of voters, hate everyone else. Especially immigrants.
Who can out-selfish everyone?
Yeah.
Who can out-selfish the other countries? We're more selfish than you. We're alone on this planet. We're going to put up these walls because we're alone on this planet.
Just us.
Anyway.
We're the only humans, actually. Our country is the only place where humans reside, and the other countries, those are just lower life forms. I'm sure they're not saying that, but maybe they feel that. Anyways, there's your news coming out of Austria. Finally have a government. I guess the only good news is that they didn't have the radical right as a part of their coalition that makes their majority, but the worrying part is just the fact that it's the biggest party, right?
Right.
The biggest party is a radical right-wing party. Radical, in my opinion, should never be in a government. Government should not be making crazy, wild decisions.
They appeal to your selfishness. They tell you what you want to hear. They'll never deliver on it. You're never going to be made better by it. But at least we're punishing the people that you think are lesser than you.
Exactly.
Anyway.
That's my story.
Immigrants, they got to be lesser. Why wouldn't they be? They had to leave their home. Like, obviously, they're lesser people, right? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm I'm waiting for your bad pun.
Oh, my bad pun. When I think of Austria, I think of Vienna, of course, and Vienna sausages. And, of course, in election, it's wiener take all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
But in this case, actually, wiener did not take all, because the winner is not in the coalition. Isn't that? Yeah.
All right, well, that's what makes it a bad pun, not a good pun. Anyway.
All right, let's roll the wheel for my segue.
Oh, boy. Let's do the Gene Hackman eulogy, I guess.
Maybe did Gene Hackman ever play in a musical?
Oh yeah, he was in. He might have been. He was in.
Maybe he can remind me of a song.
Was the Birdcage a musical?
I don't know. I don't know if I've seen a lot of his films, to be honest.
You've seen The Unforgiven. We'll go through those music. Maybe Bonnie and Clyde, Hoosiers. Hoosiers was my favorite, where he plays a basketball coach that everybody hates, and then he wins a state championship in Indiana. All right, with a bunch of white boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, white boys. Okay, I think my glasses off here. I don't know what glare. This is from BBC.com. Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa found dead in Santa Fe, New Mexico, along with their dog. This is from Paul Glynn. Did I say it already? Paul Glynn, BBC.com. I might have said that already. He's their culture reporter. Oscar-winning U.S. actor Gene Hackman, his wife Betsy Arakawa, and their dog have been found dead in their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. In a wide-ranging career spanning more than 6 decades, Hackman won 2 Academy Awards for his work in The French Connection and Unforgiven. A statement from Santa Fe County Sheriff in New Mexico said, "We can confirm that both Gene Hackman and his wife were found deceased Wednesday afternoon in their residence on Sunset Trail. This is an active investigation. However, at this time, we do not believe that foul play was a factor." Hackman was 95, and his wife, a classical pianist, is 63. He won his first Best Actor Oscar in the role as Jimmy Popeye Doyle in William Friedkin's 1971 thriller The French Connection, and another for Best Supporting Actor playing Little Bill Daggett in Clint Eastwood's Western film Unforgiven in 1992. His other Oscar-nominated roles were 1967's Bonnie and Clyde. Does that remind you of a song? As Buck Barrow in his breakthrough role opposite Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway, and 1970's I Never Sang for My Father, as well as playing the agent in Mississippi Burning in 1988. The Santa Fe County Sheriff said on February 26, 2025, at approximately 1:45 p.m., Santa Fe County Sheriff's deputies were dispatched to the address at Old Sunset Trail in Hyde Park, where Gene Hackman, his wife Betsy Arakawa, and their dog were found deceased. Gene Hackman could play anyone, says the title of the section I'm reading. Much celebrated actor Hackman played more than 100 roles in total, including supervillain Lex Luthor in the Christopher Reeve starring Superman movie. So he played Lex Luthor, if you remember those movies. In the 70s and 80s, Hackman acted opposite many Hollywood heavyweights, including Al Pacino in 1973's Scarecrow, Gene Wilder in 1974's Young Frankenstein. He didn't really play opposite Gene Wilder. He was never in a scene with him. He was the one scene with Peter Boyle, the monster. And Warren Beatty and Diane Keaton in 1981's Reds. He also starred in hit movies Runaway Jury, Wes Anderson's The Royal Tenenbaums, and Francis Ford Coppola's The Conversation. And this autobiography, he's been in so many movies, and he's such a great actor with such a long resume that they forgot Hoosiers, which is probably his best movie, I would think. One of his best, definitely. I'm not even sure why it's not listed on here. Coppola led the tributes to the late star on Thursday, calling him a great artist. Posting on Instagram, the director wrote, "Gene Hackman, a great actor, inspiring and magnificent in his work and complexity. I mourn his loss and celebrate his existence and contribution." Valerie Perrine, who featured alongside Hackman in Superman in 1978, has his character's on-screen girlfriend, Eve Teschmacher, described the late actor as a genius and one of the greatest to grace the silver screen. She posted on social media, "His performances are legendary. His talent will be missed. Goodbye, my sweet Lex, till we meet again." Star Trek actor George Takei posted, "We have lost one of the true giants of the screen." Gene Hackman could play anyone, and you could feel a whole life behind it, he wrote. He could be everyone and no one, a towering presence or an everyday Joe. That's how powerful an actor he was. He will be missed, but his work will live on forever. Slumdog Millionaire star Anil Kapoor also called Hackman a genius performer, a true legend whose legacy will live on, he wrote. You're just reading Twitter now. This is kind of cheating. Anyway, as well as the Oscar win, Hackman also collected 2 BAFTAs, 4 Golden Globes, and a Screen Actors Guild Award. He took a comedic turn playing a conservative senator in 1996, The Birdcage, alongside Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, who starred as a gay couple. The last big screen appearance came as Monroe Cole in Welcome to Moose Point in 2004, after which he stepped back from Hollywood for a quieter life in New Mexico. So he hasn't made a movie in 20 years. That's hard to believe.
He wasn't in TV though. I was looking at his Wikipedia. He was on TV until I think 2011 or something.
Oh, okay.
Only three things.
Yeah, so his big feature film. His feature film days were 2004, and that was it. Born in California in 1930, Hackman's family moved frequently, and after lying about his age at 16, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. Another reason I like Gene Hackman. Serving for being a selfish opinion.
It's easy to appease you. I was a Marine. Okay, I like you forever.
If you make it through the Marine Corps boot camp, you're A-okay with me. He enlisted with the U.S. Marine Corps, serving with 4.5 years. What's that now?
I was going to say, well, maybe back then, but I think now the Marine Corps is a bit of a joke to some people. In comparison.
Even Shady, right, well, I don't care what people think. Shady Vance is a Marine, and so I got a tiny little bit of respect for him, just for that. So there you go. Even though he was just a correspondent, it wasn't a real Marine, doing grunt work. He was sitting in an office filing reports and propaganda. He was stationed in China, Hawaii, and Japan before being discharged in 1951, so he missed war, which is good for us. Following his military service, Hackman lived and worked in New York and studied journalism and television production at the University of Illinois before he decided to move back to California to pursue his childhood acting dream. He joined Pasadena Playhouse in California, where he befriended a young Dustin Hoffman. I suppose I wanted to be an actor for the time I was about 10, maybe even younger than that, he once said. Recollections of early movies that I had seen and actors I admired, like James Cagney, Errol Flynn, and those kind of romantic action guys. When I saw those actors, I felt I could do that. But I was in New York for about 8 years before I had a job. I sold ladies' shoes, polished leather furniture, drove a truck. Driving a truck seems like the easiest damn job. I'm sorry, why do people act like it's hard? you drive anyway, without getting paid for it, I think that if you have it in you and you want it bad enough, you can do it. He added that he wanted to act, but had always been convinced that actors had to be handsome. That came from the days when Errol Flynn was my idol. I come out of the theater and startled when I looked in the mirror because I didn't look like Flynn. I felt like him. Gene Hackman won an Oscar for his work in The French Connection. He moved back to New York in 1963. That's just a non sequitur right in the middle of the story because it's under that picture. I keep reading the captions. He moved back to 1963, performing off-Broadway productions, including the Music Box Theater for comedy, Any Wednesday, and smaller TV roles. So he wasn't a comedy troupe. But he began to really make his name in the 1970s, became the leading man in New York City detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle in The French Connection. From then on, he became a fixture on a big screen in the likes of 1972 disaster film The Poseidon Adventure. He also appeared in Children from Their Games at the former Morosco Theater, Poor Richard at Helen Hayes Theater, and The Natural Look at Long Acre Theater, before later returning in 1992 to perform Death and the Maiden and at the Brooks Atkinson Theater. So he did a lot of Broadway too. So this is a guy who just didn't sit still. Hackman and his first wife, Faye Maltese, were together for 30 years and raised 3 children before getting divorced in 1986. In his later years, he and his second wife, Betsy, stayed out of the spotlight, bar for a rare public appearance together at the 2003 Golden Globe Awards, where he won the Cecil B. DeMille Award. In 2008, he told Reuters that despite any lack of official announcement, he was no longer going to act. He's going to act no longer. I've been told not to say that over the last few years in case some real wonderful part comes up, but I really do not want to do it any longer. He also explained he was focusing on his intentions away from the big screen and towards a quieter, calmer passion for writing novels. I was trained to be an actor, not a star. I was trained to play roles, not to deal with fame and agents and lawyers and press, he once said.
Yeah.
It really cost me a lot emotionally to watch myself on screen. I think of myself and I feel like I'm quite young, and I look at this old man and the baggy chins and the tired eyes and the receding hairline and all that. So he just got tired of seeing himself on the silver screen. There's your eulogy, our short eulogy for underappreciated still, even though he won Oscars. Great actor. Absolutely great in everything he did. Gene Hackman.
Yeah. People do talk about him a lot, at least in film circles. So. Mm-hmm.
So where's your song? Let's have it.
All right, here you go. This reminds me, I don't know if this counts as a song, but it is recorded as audio. There's a tradition in tournament to play to not talk about the next step until you've climbed the one in front of you. I'm sure going to the state finals is beyond your wildest dreams, so let's just keep it right there. Forget about the crowd, the size of the school, their fancy uniforms, and remember what you got here. Focus on fundamentals that you've gone over time and time again. And most important, don't get caught up thinking about winning or losing this game. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says. At the end of the game, in my book, we're gonna be winners, okay? Let's go! Clapping! It's in the players begin to clap. And that's Gene Hackman's historical motivational pre-game speech from the regional finals in Hoosiers, 1986. Hoosiers, sorry.
Like
so,
in Hoosier
I'm going
Day.
to count speeches from films as a song.
Why not? It's a special day.
It's some audio. There you go.
And he died in your home state.
Yeah,
So spin the wheel.
Okay, let's spin that wheel.
Or what I
Your
gotta
segue.
come up with.
You gotta get me an accurate metaphor or simile. I used to love similes as a kid. They're so easy.
All right.
Oh, let's go back in time to the Wild Wild West, and by back in time, I mean the 25th of February when this last was updated, because 1,900 pairs of unreleased Nikes have been stolen from freight trains in California and Arizona. Yeah, that's right, train heists are back. Thieves have targeted freight train. This is on AP News. Thieves have targeted freight trains running through the deserts of California and Arizona in a string of audacious heists, resulting in the theft of more than $2 million worth of new Nike sneakers. Though I heard...
I thought of a pun. I already thought of a pun.
Oh.
Hopefully that train runs on time. Anyway.
Of course, I heard that Nike's stock lost $1 billion because one of their shoes were destroyed on a basketball court. There was a guy who was doing a pass, and the shoe just exploded while he was using it, and he twisted his ankle. So now they've lost more money, I think.
That's not cool. Your shoe.
I don't know if you can sell those Nikes for anything now that their reputation has gone to the gutter.
I'm pretty sure those vintage Nikes that have never been worn are still gathering equity.
Including many that haven't hit retail market yet. So these are some new shoes that nobody's even seen on the shelves, according to officials and court documents. On January 13th, robbery suspects cut an air brake hose on a BNSF freight train traveling through a remote section of Arizona and made off with more than 1,900 pairs of unreleased Nikes worth more than $440,000, according to a criminal complaint filed in the federal court in Phoenix. Many of the shoes were Nigel Sylvester X Air Jordan 4s, which won't be available to the public until March 14th, and are expected at a retail price of $225 per pair.
Overpriced.
Sneakerheads, man. I can't save that much money for
another form of robbery, what they charge for sneakers.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of the at least 10 heists targeting BNSF trains in remote areas of Mojave Desert since last March. The authorities are investigating, the Los Angeles Times reported. All but one resulted in the theft of Nike sneakers, according to investigators. So they've been trying 10 times since last year to do a train heist, and they finally, after those 9 practice sections, finally got one successful one. But they didn't think of maybe, there's a lot of train heists going on in the Mojave. Maybe we should put some guards on the train. No, that would cost us money. Let's lose $440,000 instead. 11 people were charged on the 13th burglary with possessing or receiving goods stolen from an interstate shipment. All 11 have pleaded not guilty and were all ordered detained until trial. 10 are Mexicans who were in the United States illegally. Interesting. Another defendant is a Mexican citizen who was in asylum proceedings in the United States, authorities said in court records. The suspects in the January 13 heist were caught with the help of tracking devices that were inside some of the boxes, the complaint says. First, I would like to mention, just getting a little political here, that I consider Arizona, lower Southern California, and Texas and New Mexico as well, Mexican states that were stolen. So those people probably are just going back where they came from. They were deported the millionth time. My family grew up in this state. Okay, well, it's America now, and you're not allowed to be here. In another case, a BNSF's train, that doesn't give them an excuse to rob Nike, though. I am pro robbing a steal that is $225 per pair of shoes. That's ridiculous. The suspects in the January 13 heist were caught with the help of tracking devices that were inside some of the boxes, the complaint says. I see. So instead of them hiring some sort of guards, they're like, just put tracking devices in the boxes and just find the car. In another case, a BNSF train came to an emergency stop in Hackberry, Arizona on November 20th after it started losing air, according to a complaint filed in the Phoenix Federal Court. Sheriff deputies in Mojave County stopped a white panel van seen leaving the area and found about 180 pairs of them unreleased Air Jordans 11 Retro Legend sneakers valued at, oh my god. You thought that $200 shoe was expensive? This Air Jordan 11 Retro Legend blue sneaker is valued at $41,400 for one.
Wow.
This isn't like a money laundering scheme or something.
I mean, steal? Yeah,
what?
Right?
Who's buying shoes for $41,000? What the?
It's same. It took place of art, like buying art for.
The complaint
I just
states.
don't see it for that.
Yeah. Two other cases in which the BNSF freight trains were burglarized near Kingman and Singleman, Arizona last year resulted in the theft of around $612,000 worth of Nikes and 8 arrests, according to federal complaints. These typically scout merchandise on rail lines that parallel Interstate 40 by boarding slow-moving trains, such as when they are changing tracks and opening containers, said Pete Switz, vice president of the operations at Verisk's CargoNet and deputy sheriff in Arizona. Lewis told The Times that the thieves are sometimes tipped off to valuable shipments by associates working at the warehouses or trucking companies. In another case, authorities say a Mexican man who controlled crews that burglarized trains had scouts who would tip him off of trains to targets, supplied vehicles, paid crews, and facilitated the sale of stolen merchandise. The suspects are often aided by accomplices in fellow vehicles, which track the rail cars. The loot is tossed off the train after it comes to a halt, either for a scheduled stop or because the air hose has been cut, according to Brianna Cook, a Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent cited in affidavits filed in federal court. Thieves from cargo trains cost the nation's 6 largest freight railroads more than $100 million last year because of a combination of the value of the stolen goods, the cost of repairs to the rail cars, the thieves' damage, and the problem is getting worse in recent years as the thefts have become more organized and sophisticated. The Association of American Railroad Trade Group estimates that a number of thefts jumped roughly to 40,000 last year to 65,000 nationwide. Man, imagine if we invested all this money that we're spending on train thefts to maybe making the infrastructure better, and then you could have high-speed trains, and then who's going to stop them now? They're going way too fast. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't think freight trains are ever going to go that fast. Sorry.
They could, though. They could invest in making it. There are trains that go that fast in the rest of the world.
If you're only hauling sneakers, but they're usually hauling other crap like, fuel, so they can't go fast.
Like I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's an idea
really
for
hard.
you. These people can pay an extra money, because you can't steal fuel. Like maybe you can attach a hose or something and have a truck, but that you'll get caught pretty quick trying to steal fuel. So those one can stay on the slow tracks, and you can make a whole infrastructure for fast cargo freight, for sneakers and other luxury goods, and then you won't have this problem anymore. But that would be crazy. In 2022, thieves raided cargo containers aboard trains near downtown Los Angeles for months, taking packages belonging to people across the U.S. and leaving the tracks blanketed with discarded boxes of items deemed not valuable enough to steal. That's so rude. Like they just throw it out like trash. The audacious thefts prompted authorities and freight companies to step up security in the area. In 2015, thieves stole 111 guns after busting the locks of a train in a Chicago rail yard. Railroads have invested millions in measures to help prevent such thefts, but it's not like they can easily restrict access to more than 140,000 miles of track that they operate across the country. It crosses remote, rural areas and cuts through the heart of many cities, carrying millions of shipments of everything from bulk commodities like coal and grain to raw materials like rocks. The rail trade group said additional federal enforcement and tougher penalties are needed to deter the thefts. The railroad estimates that only about 1 out of every 10 theft attempts result in arrest, and many of the people who are arrested are repeat offenders. One railroad even reported arresting the same individual 5 times in a single day. Man, at least come back next week. BNSF and the other major freight railroad that hauled goods across the western United States, Union Pacific, didn't immediately respond to inquiries from the Associated Press about the theft. BNSF said in a statement to the Times that its internal policies shares information with local law enforcement and prosecutors as appropriate. The company said its crews are instructed not to confront thieves, but to report the incidents instead. That's fair. You don't want to die for some shoes, you know? Oh, how did Uncle Tom die? Well, he was trying to stop some thieves from stealing some really expensive shoes. Not a great way to go. Yeah. But the crews rarely encounter them.
It's like the Walmart greeter trying to stop a shoplifter. You know, it's like, have fun, shoplifter. Right?
We have insurance. It's not my job.
Yeah, I'm not getting paid to tackle people. I'm 72. Anyway.
But the crews rarely encounter any of the thieves, it said, because the trains are so long and the thieves take care to evade detection. Cargo thefts from trains, trucks, and ships are a problem in the shipping hubs of all across the country and a focus of the FBI. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, estimates that cargo thefts at various points along the supply chains from ports to trains to trucks account for between $15 billion to $35 billion of losses every year. Many of the more organized groups target major shipping hubs like Los Angeles, Dallas, Memphis, Chicago, and Atlanta. So I guess there's money. I don't know if there's money in it. You need to find somebody who's in these train heist groups and ask, how much money are you actually making off of this? Maybe there's money in it. I don't know. They must be doing it for a reason, or they're desperate. Desperate in this economy that we live in, where they're getting prosecuted for being Mexicans, I suppose. Anyways, that's my story.
All right. And of course, trains being a metaphor for life itself, as we say things like, we got to get things back on track, right? This is more like you're a train and you've lost your train. The train is your life and you've lost your favorite fishing pole. It really isn't the biggest loss in the world, you know, but it's significant. But you're like, well, insurance will take care of it.
The thing is, those goods aren't being destroyed, right? They're just going back in the market, but like in the black market, you know, black market shoe sales.
Yeah, you don't know what happened to your fishing pole either. You just lost it.
Somebody else has it now, though.
Okay.
That's
right.
for sure.
Somebody found it and catching the biggest bass in the world, and you're sitting there going, "No." Anyway, there's your extended metaphor about life. Now, time for the list. Sorry, spin the wheel. Hopefully, you don't reminds you of a song because I named 13 songs.
Well, you should have said that because that's exactly what I got.
Do you want to respin? I'm going to name 13 songs.
All right. I'll respin. I don't know how I'm going to make a limerick out of songs, but okay.
Is it limerick? You got limerick?
I got a bad pun. Okay. I'm sure there's a bad pun in there somewhere.
There's tons of them. All right, so today's 13 is, I don't have any notes to refer to, so it should go pretty quickly. We're going to talk about the top sports anthems. You know, not necessarily the song that you hear the crowd sing, but sometimes it's just the song that the organist plays, or the person that control the audio at the stadium will play a song when somebody comes up to bat, or some pitcher comes in. The relief pitcher, they have their own theme songs, like Enter Sandman is on the list, for instance. Anyway, number one, there's a slip because it's Seven Nation Army. Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes is on number one on the list, not because of preference, just because it's the first one I thought of. Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes is played at the University of Michigan, is big at the University of Michigan. And Michigan, I think they have the biggest sports crowds in the world, something like 104,000 seating capacity at that stadium. So 100,000 people singing going.
Yeah.
All at once.
That's a good line.
That's all they're doing. They're not even singing the song. They're singing the music.
They're not going to Wichita. They don't even know where Wichita is.
If you're in East Lansing, not East Lansing, Ann Arbor, Michigan. If you're in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where's Wichita? I've never heard of it. It's in Kansas, man. But we're all going to Wichita. If you can't get a bad pun out of this. All right. Number 2, You'll Never Walk Alone. It was adopted by a London football club, but it was originally the Liverpool Football Club's song. It's a standard. It's not really it's covered by Frank Sinatra. I think Jerry and the Pacemakers version is the one that they use because Jerry and the Pacemakers is from Liverpool. So I'm pretty sure it's the Jerry and Pacemakers song that they've gleamed onto back in whenever they did it. You'll Never Walk Alone. You can also hear it at the end of the Pink Floyd song Fearless. If you play all the way through from their album Metal, the song Fearless, which is one of the top songs on that album, you'll hear You'll Never Walk Alone in the play out. And that is sung by the crowd during the game or after the game, every game. Number 3, this is played in every arena around the world. We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions by Queen. Now, sometimes you just play We Will Rock You and stop at that, but a lot of times they'll even go into the end of it, especially if they won the championship. So, We Will Rock You, We Are the Championships. We are the championships. We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, which is played after they won the championship. But it's more or less a, what I want to say, it was written for that reason. That was what I was trying to say. According to the movie we saw, right, which was Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen was say, hey, let's write an anthem. I think it was the guitar player. I can't think of his name. Why the hell can't I think of anybody's name today? Anyway, We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions. Number 4 sports anthem is particular to baseball and especially Boston Red Sox, which song Sweet Caroline is about Caroline Kennedy, and they're from Boston. So it's big in the Boston Red Sox, made it a big song, and I think everybody sings along to the music in that one too. Sweet Caroline, bum, bum, bum. Yep. Good. Yeah, so that one is also a sing-along by the crowd. And they played in the 8th inning between the top of the 8th and the bottom. They have a 7th inning stretch where they sing something like Take Me Out to the Ball Game or something. And at the 8th inning stretch, they play Sweet Caroline in Boston. A lot of minor league teams play Sweet Caroline just because they want people on their feet. Number 5, Jump Around by the House of Pain, which is unique to one school. We talked about the University of Michigan, but between the 3rd and 4th quarter at the University of Wisconsin Badgers football games, they play Jump Around between quarters. Between the 3rd and 4th, while you're at a commercial break, everybody in the crowd gets on their feet and the whole stadium shakes as everybody is jumping at once. One of these days it's going to be terrible tragedy. But until then, jump around. Anyway. Number 6, Enter Sandman. This was used by relief pitchers in baseball a lot. You know, the Sandman puts you to sleep, right? Yep. So if you're your relief pitcher, you're going to put them batters to sleep. You're going to put them bats to sleep, so to speak. So Enter Sandman. It's also got a great intro, and they don't even play the music. It's basically and I already know what song it is. Everybody's on their feet, clapping their hands, gets them all jacked up, and then that strikeout comes, and they go, yeah, we won the game. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Getting people jacked up and all on the same side, all with enthusiasm. We're all one now, right? Okay. I hope I'm getting you into a sports frenzy now. Anyway, This one is called Song Number 2 by Blur, which I never even knew the name of it, but it's the song Woo-hoo! Woo! You hear that all the time at sporting events. It's kind of annoying, but it's there, and they play it a lot. And everybody knows that. I think everybody knows that song. You know it, right?
Yeah, I love Blur.
Yeah. But woohoo! But if you hear it every freaking, like, even when you watch it on TV, it's like, oh, they're playing that song, man. Number 8. Whoop! There it is. Another song, just like woohoo. They play whoop. There it is. Every time somebody does anything useful, great, and whatever for a game, and they just it's on their little, what are they, little carts, little buttons they hit. Hey, play that. 30 seconds of whoop, there it is. There's the button. Whoop, there it is. Whenever there is something, of course, the band is Tag Team. I had to look that up. I had to look up who sang that. Tag Team. Another one that was, I can tell you the origination of this. Na na, hey hey, kiss him goodbye. You know it as na 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 na, na 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 na, hey. Goodbye. This is the song you play after you've won the game. And it was originated by the Chicago White Sox. I know the origin of this. The Chicago White Sox started this, and it isn't officially their song. Of course, the White Sox are the worst team in baseball now, so they didn't get to sing a lot of it last year. But either their organist or their person who plays the PA system came up with this. And it became a hit for the band called Steam. It was a number 1 hit, as a matter of fact. Number 10, Don't Stop Believing by Journey. What is it about? Every sports team has to believe, especially if you're good and you're going to be champions. Don't stop believing. You can improve. It's good advice for life, actually. So don't stop believing, I wrote this, believe in, the colloquial term, the form of it. And we're almost done with the list. Our number 11, Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones. You know, the one that goes, hey, ho, let's go. Hey, ho, let's go. So you're going to hear that a lot at sporting events. Number 11, Blitzkrieg Bop. Got nothing to say about that? Anything? You must know that song. Number 12, Sirius, which is not a song. It is the musical beginning of an Alan Parsons project composition called Eye in the Sky, which probably was a number 1 hit. It was at least a top 10 hit. But right before Eye in the Sky starts, because Alan Parsons' project was a record producer, he liked making really elaborate records. He was the producer for Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, for instance. So Alan Parsons' project, yeah. So Sirius, which is specific to one team too, it was the Chicago Bulls of Michael Jordan, made this one famous because the Chicago Bulls are always on TV because of Michael Jordan, and they always played the intro of the players for these games. And in the intro for the players, they started with Sirius, which is the preamble or the precursor to Eye in the Sky. And number 13, the most controversial artist on this list, Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter. And a lot of people don't even know the name of this song, but it goes like this. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey! That's your song. From Gary Glitter, who, of course, was arrested for being a child molester. So I don't know if he gets royalties anymore from that. I don't even know if he's alive anymore. But there is your probably, I don't know, you hear that one at every stadium. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, let's have a bad pun.
Okay, my bad pun is, when you're at a sports game and... Wait, well, I lost it. I just had, oh man, my brain lost. Okay. Sports games, wait, let me put myself on camera. Sports games are notoriously bad at staying quiet.
Yeah.
Notoriously.
No, it's Tor. I got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
hey, you were. Yeah,
Notoriously.
okay. Yeah, but
It's a
that did
bad
remind
pun.
you of a song? Oh, I do. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it
Right
reminded
on.
me of
Right.
at least
Yeah, I got
13
it.
songs, I think. Song number 2 by Blur, I think. No, I got bad pun.
Right
Remember,
on.
we re-rolled.
I remember. That's right. I already. I have no
It's
memory.
before coffee, guys. We haven't had any
Hey,
coffee. All right, you're gonna have to give me a simile
notoriously
or an
a
accurate
simile.
metaphor for your next
Oh boy,
segue, where we're gonna talk
pretend that,
about
man.
another list. The 10 movies you need to watch this year from the Berlin Film Festival. These might even win awards or something. Well, I think some of these already won awards at the Berlin Film Festival. This is Euronews specific list, so I didn't draw up this list. This is David Moorquand and probably other people in the office who drew up this list. The 75th Berlin International Film Festival has wrapped its first year under new director Tricia Tutel, and it was an extremely promising start. Now that they've had some time to make their peace with the results, forget about all the dire opening films and pray they'll never get cloned, time to round up the favorite films from this year's edition. These are soon-to-be released titles you should be keeping an eye out for this year. O Ultimo Azul, The Blue Trail. Gabriel Mascaro's Brazil-set dystopian film, The Blue Trail, is without a doubt this year's competition standout. While it narrowly missed out on a Golden Bear and had to settle for a runner-up prize, a Silver Bear Grand Jury Prize, no other 2025 Bear competing film came close to this anti-ageism parable with a huge heart. It stars Denise Weinberg as Teresa, an elderly woman defying the seemingly benevolent Brazilian government that has decreed people past the age of 75 should be sent to a remote housing facility called the Colony. She embarks on a journey to tick one last wish off her bucket list before she loses her freedom. After Neon Bull and Divine Love, Mascaro delicately embraces his central concept, which recalls Shohei Imamura's The Ballad of Narayama, and to a point, Chi Hayakawa's Plan 75. And rather than overplay his dystopian hand, the population control aspect could have gone very Soylent Green, crafts a hypothetical future that feels plausible, both timely and timeless. The Blue Trail is a witty, thought-provoking, and affecting warning cry about the forced displacement of communities and the dark possibilities that could feasibly decry from an authoritarian future. Actually, that's a really good point, because if you think about it, a long time ago, like actually not that long ago, we lived in villages of people, we had every single generation, we were a community, we talked to each other. But now these days, a lot of people, instead of keeping connected with their elders and giving them the respect of being able to live to be 75, let alone 97, we put them in a home somewhere and ignore them and then pay people to take care of them for us. Terrible. So,
Right.
That's a good point. And really, it does force displacement of community, because instead of us all being, generations of people who have a history and a place, I'm going to put my grandmother all the way in a different place where she's not even from. She doesn't know anybody.
Right.
And we're just filling it up with new people. Yeah, terrible. All right. Number 2 is Sorda, Deaf. Winner of this year's Panorama Audience Award, Sorda, Deaf is a heart-poundingly beautiful and absolute triumph. Spanish filmmaker Eva Libertad tells the story of an interabled couple, a deaf woman, Angela Miriam Garglo, and her hearing partner, Hector Alvaro Cervantes. They're expecting a child and don't know whether the baby will be deaf or hearing, because it can be genetic in a lot of cases, and how each possibility could affect them both as a couple and as individuals wishing to share their perspective of the world. Yeah, if they have a deaf child, then it's just like one hearing person with 2 deaf people. Or if it's a hearing person, it's a child who has to learn to deal with their deaf mother. Like many films at this year's festival, Deaf deals with parenthood, specifically the trials of motherhood. However, what makes Libertad's film stand out in a crowded field is its depiction of love, by taking the time to introduce the audience to a loving couple and their supportive network of friends. The filmmaker ensures that they're completely invested in the well-being of this unit, as well as fully committed when it comes to grappling with the complex emotions at play. Whether it's parental responsibility, communication, isolation, that decries from institutional discrimination or the importance of finding your community, Libertad does every facet justice, without ever toppling its melodrama. Do not miss out on Death, or as it's also known, Torda. La Tour de Glace, Ice Tower. Over the course of 3 films, from her 2004 debut Innocence to 2021's Earwig, The Evolution, one of Euronews Cultures' favorite European films of the 21st century, Lucille Hadzi-Halalovic has established herself as one of the most singular voices in French cinema. She does not disappoint for her 4th feature, a transfixing adaptation of Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen. Set in a wintry 1970s France, this glacially paced fairy tale is more vibes than it is crescendoing narrative. It brims with the brooding atmospherics, and through the mutual infatuation that grows between young orphan Claire Passini and an elusive actress Marion Cotillard, the film gradually offers thematic strands on maternal substitutes and adolescent awakenings. It also introduces a fascinating mise en ambiance in which Andersen's totemic mirror is replaced by a camera, thereby creating a meditation on the medium of cinema itself. Yes, it sounds a lot if you're not in the right mood. The Ice Tower's longiers and prism-like layers will prove more frustrating than entrancing. However, if you're looking for a frosty mood piece crackling with hidden meanings, this eerie reverie is a must-see. It left the Berlinale with a bare for artistic advancement. While this is amply merited, the Ice Tower should have earned Hadzi-Halalovic the best director going this year, according to Euronews Culture anyways. Reflet dans un diamant mort, Reflection in a Dead Diamond. No other competition film this year was quite as daring, kinetic, or sensual as Reflection in a Dead Diamond by French husband and wife filmmakers Hélène Catet and Bruno Forzani. It's a tough one to describe, here it goes. Imagine the fevered dream of dying James Bond, who looks back at his career in espionage, skipping through his memories of violence, sex, and leather-clad assassins like a needle scratching the record, while Peter Strickland and Quentin Tarantino's undergarments tighten with cinephilic delight. Okay, so they get a hard-on. This movie is supposed to give you a hard-on. I like how they said that. Tightens their undergarments. And 007 meets Death in Venice for a hyper-fragmented Valentine to everything from Italian pulp comics Diabolic to Philippe de Broca's La Magnifique via 1967's Bond spoof Casino Royale. Its strengths, though, quite aside from its trippy visuals, is that it goes beyond the 1960s Euro spy genre homage, or an OSS 117 pastiche. It is an incredibly sensorial ride that doesn't need you to recognize the film's references it lovingly toys with, and unveils layers of meaning regarding memory and the possibilities of cinema as an art form. And it's a blast. Haha, because it's James Bond. There's a lot of explosions in those films. Den Stiga Steosteren, The Ugly Stepsisters. Following its Sundance premiere, The Ugly Stepsister went to the Panorama sidebar section of the Berlinale, and the festival's stronger for it. The confident debut feature from Norwegian filmmaker Emily Blichfeldt reimagines the fairy tale Cinderella through the eyes of Elvira Lee Mirren, who will go to any lengths to compete with her beautiful stepsister Agnes for the affections of the prince. While there have been several reframings of misunderstood characters over the years, look at Maleficent and The Lot, The Ugly Stepsister stands out. It honors the Brothers Grimm tale in its period setting in grimness, pun intended, but also has the conviction of its vision, no matter how excruciating the vision may be. Tempting though it is to draw a comparison with Coralie Farge's The Substance, both films anchor themselves in the new wave feminist horror movement and comment on societal expectations regarding beauty standards through squirm-inducing body horror and plenty of dark humor. Blichfeldt's film shouldn't be eclipsed by its genre's neighbor. It's a fully formed triumph that heralds a bold and ambitious new cinematic voice. Learning about The Ugly Stepsister. El Mensaje, The Message. It is a miracle. If a miracle were to happen today, would we be able to recognize it? What if a logic-defying gift was bestowed on someone? Could we appreciate it considering the times we live in? Ivan Fun's minimalist marvel, The Message, is a black and white Argentinian road movie that seems to invite this question. It follows a little girl, Anika, played to perfection by the young Anika Boots, who can read the minds of animals, both living and dead. The pint-sized Dr. Dolittle, blessed with natural telepathy, travels around in a van with her guardians to modify this gift in a consultation business. It is a scam, or can Anika truly establish a connection between worlds? It doesn't matter. Whether magic or fraud, Anika's sessions with excessively cute animals give hope, perhaps at the cost of a childhood wonder. The Message is a quietly mesmerizing and tenderly enigmatic film that may seem meager as a contemplative narrative. However, it beautifully lingers on the importance of connection, belief, and the unspoken intergenerational gifts we've taken for granted. It hasn't been released yet, so there's only was at this. You can't watch it anywhere yet. On vous croit, we believe you. A lot of French films here, or I guess this one's Belgian, at the Berlin Film Festival. Where's the German film? None of them were good enough for the Euronews Culture. A standout this year was the new Perspectives section of the Berlinale, dedicated to the first fiction feature films. This Belgian debut from Charlotte de Villiers and Arnaud Dufay opens with the arrival of Alice, Miriam Okindiao, and her children Ulysses Ruffin and Adele Piniacaires in court. She's nearing a breaking point, while her kids are either on edge or temperamental in the extreme. They have a meeting with the family court judge for a grueling custody battle that's already 3 years in the making. Quickly you learn that it's more complicated. There is a criminal investigation underway against the father, Laurent Capilouto, who allegedly raped his younger son. Reminiscent of Xavier Legrand's Jusqu'à la Garde custody, this agonizingly tense film is mostly set in one room. That's a really thing hard to pull off. A long scene in which we hear the statements of each parent, their lawyers, as if in real time. It all feels uncomfortably genuine, and for good reason. De Villiers used her personal and professional experience as a nurse to inform the depiction of incest and sexual abuse, as well as the proceedings of the young protection case. In 78 minutes, We Believe You reflects the grueling brutality of a system which perpetuates an endless spiral that reopens wounds and nourishes trauma. It's harrowing, enraging, and masterfully performed. This film has also not been released yet, but it was at the festival. He-Man. Il. This is He-Man with accents over the E and the A. Another perspective title which stands out this year is Il, the feature debut by a Taiwanese filmmaker, Chu Chun-Teng. And with a title like that, it should be no surprise the film is slippery. In the scene, those looking for clear meaning should look elsewhere. Those willing to surrender to the bizarre and beautifully rhythms of a dream logic should rush to see Il. It centers on a young man, Devin Pan, who works at a waste disposal plant when he's not sleepwalking or digging in the dirt, metaphorical eels. He encounters a woman, Missy Kay, who floats onto the shore. They start a passionate relationship, mystical past and realists collide, and do contradictory longings for both belonging and escape. Trying to adequately describe what happens borders on impossible. You just have to go watch it yourself. It's a cinematic tone poem, features a visual verb that takes the viewers on a transcendental trip that is harder to find, even harder to shake off. So if you want to do drugs without actually doing drugs, watch Il from the Taiwanese filmmaker Chu Chun-Teng.
Right.
Let's see, how many more left? 2 more left, and then we're done with my list.
Wow. Okay.
Here we go. Dromer, Dreams, Sex, Love. The coveted Golden Bear went to Dromer by Norwegian director Dag Johan Haugerud. It's because he's Norwegian. It is the 3rd chapter in his thematic trilogy Sex, Love, and Dreams, which deals with emotional and physical intimacy. I think they've been talking about this was a film to look for before the festival even started. The first chapter, Sex, premiered last year and focused 2 straight married men discovering their elasticity of their sexuality. That they're more bisexual, I guess. Love, which premiered in competition as last year's Venice Film Festival, followed 2 colleagues, a heterosexual woman and a gay man, seeking a romantic connection in the new world of dating apps. Now comes Dreams, which follows 17-year-old Joanne Ella Overby, who falls head over heels for a new art teacher, Joanna Salom Emnetu. In an attempt to capture this intense romantic awakening, the student pours her experiences onto the paper with raw honesty. She shares her conventional novella with her grandma, who then shares it with Joanne's alarmist mum. Initially horrified, she suspects sexual abuse and quickly changes her tune once she recognizes her daughter's little feminist gem. While Dreams may not be one of the most singular films in competition this year, it's a gently captivating and very talky queer coming-of-age story that accurately captures the overwhelming intensity of first love. It also crucially is about the importance of perspective when it comes to longing. Now, without acknowledging perspectives, the boundaries between reality and fiction tend to blur. Dreams is a bit of a safe choice as far as the Golden Bear is concerned, but it remains superbly acted and often very funny trilogy capper. It features one of the greatest feminist takedowns of the film Flashdance you'll ever hear, and it will have you leaving the cinema with a smile. And finally, our 10th film you need to watch after the Berlin Film Festival is Lurker. Best known for his writing and producing work on the series Beef and the Bear, Alex Russell makes his feature film debut with Lurker. The tense, very unsettling thrilling starring Theodore Pellerin as Matthew, a young man who becomes obsessed with LA pop star Oliver Archie Madekwe. It all starts innocently enough. And at first you feel for the sweaty and desperate hanger-on who gets exploited by Oliver's entourage. However, the obsession takes some talented Mr. Ripley turns, and the wiry cast becomes unnerving and calculating. He'll do anything to cling on to the newfound glory of celebrities he's basking in. From the Inception fandom of Misery to the dark influencer satire of Ingrid Goes West, this sort of fatal attraction scenario doesn't sound too fresh. However, Russell manages to take the well-worn subject of fame-based power dynamics and thrilling explores the pathology of celebrity and parasocial relationships, powered every step of the way by Pellerin's genuinely unsettling performance. Lurker is a knot-in-the-stomach affair you won't forget in a hurry. Going one further, Russell impresses in a way that isn't interested in easy answers, subverting the obvious conclusion you expect to create something darker about toxic determination and the possibility of reinvention. There aren't easy answers to these kind of complicated problems like parasocial relationships and celebrity, so that's very cool that he goes into not giving you an easy answer, an easy solution. But there you go, 10 films you need to check out after the Berlin Film Festival.
Yep. And of course, the metaphor for that. Film festivals are like smorgasbords or buffets, right? You don't even know where to start. Yeah.
You can start in the middle if you want. Get all the meat first.
Right, anywhere you want. You can start with dessert if you want.
You can eat the dip without the crackers. Just get a spoon.
Just get a big pitcher of water to sit there and drink it by yourself if you want, right? Hey.
All right, let me roll our last segue, and then we can go to this day in history and finish off Thursday's 13.
All right.
Okay, let's see if I have a personal story about something that's happening today.
Well, let's see. We're going to go back into the mists of time to 1776. The Battle of Moores Creek Bridge. North Carolinian revolutionaries defeated loyalists during the American Revolution. So the Battle of Moores Creek. Probably don't have a personal story about that.
No, I wasn't there. Maybe I was there in a different life.
You've been to North Carolina, so there you go. 1807, American poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow was born in Portland, Massachusetts, which is now called Portland, Maine. People forget that Maine wasn't a state until much later. Probably not too much later than 1807, probably 5 minutes later, actually. In 1884, Paul Kruger, president of South African Republic, signed a treaty in London that disavowed British authority over Transvaal. Probably don't have a personal story about that. 1886, American lawyer and politician Hugo Black, who is a Supreme Court justice, was known for his support of the doctrine of total incorporation, whatever that means, was born. So happy birthday to now deceased Hugo Black. Hugo. Interesting name. You don't see that one anymore. 1902, American novelist John Steinbeck was born. He's best known for his novel The Grapes of Wrath, which summed up the bitterness of the Great Depression decade and the aroused widespread sympathy for the plight of migratory farm workers. Because, hey, there's no way to grow crops here. We gotta go.
What the hell?
1932 is the birthday of Elizabeth Taylor, American actress Elizabeth Taylor. She was born in London. His career, highlighted by award-winning portrayals of emotionally volatile characters, often overshadowed by her highly publicized personal life. Yeah, she got married 7 times. 1930, maybe 8. She would marry anybody, almost literally.
She'd be getting married out there, that's for sure.
She married a guy she met in rehab, some guy named Larry Fortensky, just some nobody. So yeah, Elizabeth Taylor would just about marry just about anybody. Does anybody know what's happened to Larry Fortensky? I looked that up. 1933, in Berlin, the Reichstag fire. Yeah, this is the date of the Reichstag fire in 1933. A key event that established a Nazi dictatorship. Of course, the Reichstag was attacked by Nazis, and they claimed that somebody else did it, and planes started rounding people up. Round people up and punish them. They're political opponents. Let's punish them. So yeah, that's what they do. Whenever you see somebody getting all defensive about their so-called symbolism of their movement or whatever, they're about to start rounding people up.
Yep.
1951, on this day, the 22nd Amendment was ratified, which effectively limited to 2 the number of terms for the U.S. president. Let's see if the 22nd Amendment's still good, huh? Let's see what the Supreme Court does about that. Probably nothing. 1967, St. Kitts and Nevis with Anguilla became independent state associated with the United Kingdom. Those are islands out in the Caribbean. 1968, during a news broadcast, American journalist Walter Cronkite, who is considered the most trusted man in America, broke from his usual objectivity to predict that the Vietnam War could only end in a protracted stalemate. His commentary was credited with changing the U.S. public opinion of the conflict. Yeah, 1968, Walter Cronkite said, Vietnam's a waste of time. And money and lives. 1973, 200 members of the American Indian movement forcefully took the reservation hamlet of Wounded Knee, South Dakota. And they held on to it for quite a while. No, they didn't kill anyone. They didn't kill anyone. It was peaceful, and they just it was peaceful occupation, and it was eventually resolved by nothing. Nothing really good happened to American Indians because of that. In 1991, U.S. President George Herbert Walker Bush ordered a ceasefire effective midnight and declared victory in the Persian Gulf War. But it wasn't really a victory, because if it was a victory, we wouldn't have had to go back in 2003. Anyway, a conflict triggered by Iraq's invasion and occupation of Kuwait in August 1990. So yeah, we bombed the crap out of Iraq. That's basically what we accomplished with that war, bombing the crap out of Iraq. 2008, American editor and author William F. Buckley died at the age of 82. He became an important intellectual influence of politics and founder and editor-in-chief of the National Review, which he used as a forum for conservative views and ideas. So William F. Buckley, if he was alive today, would be horrified about what happened to his party. What happened to conservatives in the United States, which basically is, we're all a bunch of idiots. We're not conservatives anymore. We're in a cult. They're on a cult now. They have no bearing, they have no direction, and they have no morals or principles. They're just following their leader because they have nothing. So conservatives, I'm ashamed for you. I feel sorry for you. You have no direction. You have no barometer. You're just doing what you're told, which is pathetic. Anyway, in 2015, American actor Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock on Star Trek, of course, died at the age of 83. So rest in peace, Mr. Spock. And our featured event 2010, Chile is struck by an earthquake and tsunami. I can't say tsunami. Struck by earthquake and tsunami on this day, 2010, a magnitude 8.8 earthquake. Holy shnikes. Struck Chile, causing widespread damage and triggering a tsunami that devastated coastal areas. It was the most powerful earthquake to strike the region since 1960. 8.8 is a ridiculously strong earthquake. Our featured biography is Constantine I, Roman Emperor, born May 22nd. Oh, he died May 22nd, 237, near Izmit, Turkey. So why is that significant today? I have no idea. So we'll just skip right over that because that happened in May and it doesn't even list his birthday. They're guessing when he was probably born in February. Why not? Are their birthdays today? Joanne Woodward, American actress, born in 1930. She stayed married to Paul Newman for at least the rest of his life. That was one of your more successful Hollywood marriages. We covered Elizabeth Taylor. Ralph Nader's birthday today, the guy who ruined the election in the year 2000. He was born in 1934, so turning 91. Ralph Nader, still around. And in 1981, American singer Jeff Groban's birthday. So, and what national days is it? Oh my lord, there's a lot of things today. It's National Kahlua Day, that liqueur that tastes like coffee. National Strawberry Day. National Chili Day. We covered that in the intro. National Polar Bear Day. National Retro Day. Retro, get out your old stuff and play with it. Get out your Walkman, right? I don't know. National Toast Day. Boy, there's a lot of food today. Toast, chili, and strawberries so far. Anosmia Awareness Day. Probably a bad day to have that because there's so many other days. I don't know what that means. I don't know what anosmia, Anosmia, Awareness Day. And there's somebody sniffing a blue cup. I don't know what that is symbolic of. Pokemon Day is today. Pokemon Day. We're all aware of that. And National Small Dog Day. So there's all the crap they're doing today. For some reason on February 27th, people decided to put a bunch of crap on this day. There's everything, all the stuff, all the food, all the news, all the lists we can come up with, all the nonsense for today, February 27th, 2025, on before Kahlua laced with strawberries and toast, and of course, chili.
That's a lot of stuff. Wow. Insomnia is a condition that causes the loss of smell. A lot of people actually experience this when they got COVID-19. So just awareness that, there's people out there who can't smell stuff, and some people never even get it back. And that's not great because smelling things is one of your senses, and it can maybe save your life. But
you got a personal story?
My personal story is that what did you just say? Oh, small dog. So yesterday, my mom forgot my birthday, and she realized it yesterday. So she called me yesterday, and then we got in an argument about how old our very small dog is. Because she was like, she's 17. I'm like, she is not 17, okay? We got her in 2014. She was still she wasn't that old.
She was 3 years old. She was 3 years old. We got her. She was born in 2011.
Yeah, it doesn't make her 17 though. So she's
13 or 14.
Yeah, okay, but I had this argument. Both of you want to argue me with this. 13 is closer to 10 than it is to 20. Saying 17 is saying she's almost a 20-year-old dog, So that's why I was like, she is not 17. She's not almost 20. You're insane. Anyways,
what you're saying that's
and also she's 74 in human years, okay? Because my mom was like, why is she getting sick? Okay. Why does she have to go to the vet all the time? Like she's 74 years old. Think about it that way. You should be happy she's still alive. I was expecting her to go ages ago because she's a tiny party poodle, and small dogs just don't have very good. Oh, look at that! See, now we're arguing in chat. Now she's here in chat arguing with me. There's our personal story.
Stop it. You shouldn't have brought it up. Anyway, let's get on with the show. I got to get on with my life. Let's not do this.
So there's my personal story. We will see you guys tomorrow for the Friday news dump, where we will be
definitely not 17.
Tying off. And I thought we were dropping it. Stop bringing it up. We'll finish off the week with some news. before the weekend, so you don't have to worry about what's going on over the weekend. You can have a blissfully ignorant weekend. So make sure you're subscribed, have the notification on so you know when we go live for our Friday news dump. And here is our mic drop moment. Almost forgot the word mic drop moment.
Mm-hmm.
Gene Hackman is the blind man here.
And Peter Boyle as the Frankenstein monster, who's also passed away in the last few years.
Wait. A toast. A toast to, yes, long.
Oh, damn. What is he looking up to?
How hungry you must have been. Now for a little.
Dr. Frankenstein, of course, is a comedy film.
I've been saving.
Young Frankenstein, you mean?
Young Frankenstein.
Cigars. I started laughing as soon as he said that because I know he's going to light them on fire.
Oh, he doesn't like fire. Frankenstein doesn't like fire. Yeah.
Fire is good. Yes, fire.
Which is a normal thing. You should be scared of fire. Very dangerous.
Yeah, but his brain is from Abby Normal. Don't forget that.
Let me see. All right. Now. Just hold it right there.
Oh no, his finger.
Hold the tip close.
He feels nothing. Oh no, his door. Who's gonna fix his door for him? He's just a blind man who smokes cigars.
Wait! Where are you going? I was going to make espresso.
And Gene Hackman gets our mic drop.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons. And follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.